Hello! Welcome,
Hi.
welcome. Welcome to Book Buffet. If you are unfamiliar, this is where we get together and we chat about books. And I got lucky and Rachel was able to join me this week. Yay! So, as I said, this is Rachel. I am Courtney. We are both teen librarians at the Addison Public Library, in which we currently are. So, hey. Also, I've not heard, any construction value just yet.
Just yet,
Just
but I
yet.
do see a construction person walking around outdoors.
That should be interesting. There is
I think
machinery
they're maybe
right there. I think they're
maybe
picking
on the
it
drive
up.
up. Or maybe they're picking up
maybe.
machinery. I don't know. What
You know, it's an interesting time at the library lately.
Yeah. All sorts of things going on.
Yeah. Anyway, so today's theme is all about Jaws.
All about Jaws.
Jaws. So we had the 50th anniversary of the very famous movie Jaws. That was it released on June 20th in 1975, which was 50 years ago Friday. So
Yes, so Jaws, when it came out, was the first summer blockbuster.
yeah,
Bef-
ever.
Before that, movies in the summer was just no one's going to movies, just put the whatever movies out there. Jaws was not meant to come out on June 20th, 1975. It was meant to come out the previous Christmas season, which is when all the big movies usually come out for Oscars.
Sure.
But filming went way over time. I think a lot of people, if they know anything about the mythology of Jaws, it's that it took too long and too much money. And it's a miracle that it even became a film. And that Spielberg kept his career. They wanted it to come out during Oscar season, big movie time, and it came out late, so they couldn't release it until next summer.
Which is wild. Oh, there we go. All right, the speaker went in and out right there.
Oh.
But I can't conceive Jaws not being a summer movie.
Yeah. It started summer blockbusters.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Yeah. So. It has a massive legacy.
It does.
So it's really cool. My story with Jaws was in high school. I took a film studies class, and my teacher at the time was he did different units, and he did a horror unit, and for that unit, and I was terrified. I was just because I don't like spooky stuff.
It's not spooky though.
It's not at all. It's more of a thriller.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of suspense with that movie. It's so fun. But he's it's getting older. I was getting afraid that the movie didn't really have that kind of oomph to it. It wouldn't scare anybody anymore. And then I was showing it to a class, and this girl nearly fell out of her seat, screaming. And he's like, I'm good.
Yeah. No. It has
it's so good.
Staying power.
It really does. So it's definitely stayed with us. You've been looking up Jaws facts since yesterday.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun tidbits. My favorite place to be when I'm supposed to just be watching a movie is on the trivia page for that movie on IMDb.
I respect it.
Yeah.
That's how you engage.
And Jaws has an extensive trivia page.
Yeah. So we have books from across the board, from shark ones all the way to there's Martha's Vineyard books, because it was filmed in Martha's Vineyard, the movie was, and then we also have a bunch of books about the movies, and also revolving around Jaws. So we'll start off, and like I said, also across the board, because I'm starting off with a picture book called I'm a Shark.
I'm a Shark.
I'm a Shark. This is by Bob Shea. These books are so funny. So this is Shark. He is very much,
is Shark afraid?
So in the course of this story, we were finding out that sharks are, they're super cool, and they're not afraid of anything. It doesn't have to mean, I can watch a scary movie, which was a child with a fishing pole, and I can watch that with my eyes open. And, I'm not scared of T-Rexes. You know what T-Rexes are scared of? Sharks. That sort of thing. And then you're not even scared of a spider. Spiders, so the whole
Reminds
entire...
me of the Darth Vader one.
Yeah, I love the Darth Vader one. So it's got really fun, like, just silliness to it, where he kind of goes back and forth. He's like, he's not scared of the dark, but he's totally scared of spiders, but he won't admit that he is. And at the end, what I particularly like is one of the fish is like, oh, well, I guess everyone is scared of something. And like, what about spiders? The spiders. But then they're like, he goes, well, what are you guys afraid of? And they're like, sharks. And he's like, sharks? And then it ends with, that's silly. So that's cute. So it's a sweet little story. They're really funny and just silly. So if you've got like a fear thing or, like, honestly, it's just a good time. So there's that one. And then this next one is one that I found and immediately handed to Rachel, and she read it.
Well, not so much handed as I swiped it.
I was going to hand it to you, and you swiped it.
Yeah.
So this is Shark Girl. This is a new book in our collection. This is by Kate Beaton, who is one of my favorite like graphic novelists. She's got several like graphic novels, like Step Aside Pops, which I find hysterical. And then there's like The Princess and the Pony is one of like the picture books. There's some funny ones. So this is about Shark Girl, who is half shark, half human, and she gets caught in a fishing net, and she's like, but inside the net, inside the fishing net, are a bunch of fish and creatures that don't get eaten. So this clearly has to be a mistake. And then she looks up at the captain and she's like, it was no mistake. He's greedy. And this started a very truly human feeling. It was a feeling for revenge. So she escapes the net, goes to the sea witch, gets herself some legs, and then poses as a fisherman, hoping to inspire mutiny in the crew to take over and get rid of this evil captain. So through the course of that, she finds out that it's not as easy as just whispering mutiny to somebody. She becomes and makes friends with the other fishermen, and eventually she's super, super good at fishing because, part shark. And the captain gets super greedy because he doesn't want her to leave and lose all his money, so he captures her and handcuffs her to a radiator. But the other crew go and they rescue her, and they confront him. She remembers that she is indeed a shark, and happily ever after. It's super funny and silly. I love like the style and like the humor that goes along with this author's like way of storytelling. But yeah, this one's a good one for everybody, I think. So those are good. Now, if you're like, but I don't want to read a children's picture book, but I still want to read about sharks. I found this one, and Rachel also was like, put it on my list.
I have the audiobook right now.
Yes, you do.
I will be starting it later tonight.
Yes, you will. So, Second Tide's the Charm. This is a romance book. This is by Chandra Blumberg. And honestly, the best way to there's count the number of puns, really. So, Second Tide's the Charm. That's one. And the best way to read it is the one on the back. So, at first glance, Hope just landed the perfect job, spending the summer on a shark research boat. Except, as every marine biologist knows, it's what goes on beneath the surface that counts. And Hope's new position comes with a big catch. The boat belongs to her ex-boyfriend, Adrian, and for 3 years, Hope's been treading water, staying away from anything that reminds her of their past. It's time to dive back into a job that could springboard her career and maybe offer much-needed closure. Now, since they're split, Adrian has risen to internet fame as a shark expert with the launch of his YouTube channel to dispel myths and educate viewers about sharks. But success rings hollow without hope.
Yep.
Embracing this new career trajectory was a risk, but working in cramped quarters with the woman he never stopped loving, it has the potential to backfire in heartbreaking ways. Side by side, weathering storms of every kind, they have to navigate the murky waters of past hurts and hope it's not too late to chart a new course.
That's great.
Yeah, right? It's great.
I've heard that this is the summer of second chance.
There you go.
Second chance romance is having a moment. Enemies to Lovers is kind of always popular, but like was really popular in these past few summers. And now second chances.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we got a good romance there. I was like flummoxed when I found a shark themed romance. But yeah,
cute.
It looks really cute. So yeah, if you like your romances, go for it. Why not? You know, good stuff.
A moment to just acknowledge that the construction person outside the window is maneuvering that with a remote.
That is cool.
It's remote controlled machinery.
It's a sander.
It's a sander.
Like one of those big, massive ones.
Yeah.
That just looks like a massive lawnmower for those of us who don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. But yeah, he's doing it by a remote control.
I was a little distracted.
A little bit. All right, so now the problem with shark stories, and I think with Jaws, is that it's kind of inspired a lot of stereotypes or like preconceptions about sharks in general. It's straight up
inspired shark hunting.
Yeah.
Like people got into shark hunting. Random people on the beach would just like bludgeon animals to death that they thought were sharks, but were in fact whales. Like
that's sad.
A lot of animals have died needlessly because of Jaws, so much so that the author of Jaws became a like shark conservationist.
Yeah. After
writing the book, he felt so bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do think efforts have been made to like turn the tide.
I'd say so. I do have quite a number of like these are books that are nonfiction. Now to absolutely turn that on its head, let's start with the Shark Attack of 1916 books.
Yeah.
So if you're just like, but I like shark attacks, that sounds fun. Now they do happen. Mind you, I even like looked it up. So as for this year so far in 2025,
yes,
there have been 25 attack bites across the globe. 3 of those bites were provoked, which means that people put themselves in situations they shouldn't have been. And only 7 of them have been fatal across the globe. In the US alone, only 4. One of those was provoked. 2 of them were in Florida. 1 in Hawaii and 1 in North Carolina. And then 9 of them were in Australia. They have the most. Well, 2 of those were provoked. Yeah, and 3 of those were fatal. Okay. So, and some of them were like, some of the fatalities and things were, they were fishing, and some of the bites too were like they were fishing and they were trying to free a shark, or they got pulled overboard or something like that. So it's not always like, it's not like a ravaging.
And it's very rarely like you're minding your own business swimming in the ocean and a shark comes and attacks you.
Yeah. So that all said, so in 1916, there was a moment. So both of these books are relating on the same exact events. There is the What Were books, so these are both like younger books in general, but very, very popular series. So we have the What Were series as well as the I Survived, and this one's a graphic novel actually. But we've got them also as like a novel. So in 1916, it was on the Jersey Shore. It turns out that like the way that the water levels lined out, sharks got into the rivers and swam upriver, and there were like 5 or 6 people who were attacked, who were just kids swimming in the river where sharks shouldn't normally be.
Sure.
So this kind of like details the story and how like people reacted on stuff. These also kind of this one's more informative of like, here's what happened, here's the information, here's the facts kind of a thing. Whereas like the I Survive books are like, you're following the character who is experiencing these events.
It's usually a fictional character put into a real life situation.
Right.
Like this actually happened, but this one character is just our like, call it?
Yeah, it's sort of like our
audience insert.
It's our audience insert.
Yeah.
So this series of events was nuts. It was wild.
Yeah.
It absolutely was not expected, and people were very much scared. And these events actually are rumored to inspire the book Jaws, which is where the movie came from. So direct connection.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
So that's kind of fun. And there's quite a few stories of like sharks appearing in places that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Like there's a whole species of shark that is in an inland lake because they swim up a river
Sure.
to get into that lake, and then they live in that lake.
Yeah.
And that's just cool. Sharks are wild.
Yeah.
So if you like sort of, there's a lot of information on like sharks in general. There's also, we have a collection of some books. So there is the Shark Handbook, which is a adult nonfiction book, and it's got a lot of like different information and facts about different sharks and like where they can be found, their common names, just like informations, as well as history of such, and like their digestive systems and their teeth. Did you know that sharks have all of their teeth at all times, and they just rotate up and out? And it looks like a horror show. It sure does.
Yeah.
But like the anatomy of a shark.
Like an X-ray for a child when they still have all their grown-up teeth, but they're down here.
Absolutely nightmare fuel, like in every way. Another one is, this is Chasing Shadows, Unraveling the Mysteries of the Great White Shark. So this is set in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which, seaside getaway. So this was in August 2012. Do you remember the shark attacks that were picking up around then? So
2012. No.
Yeah, so 2012, I do, which is wild.
I remember 2012.
So
Wasn't the world supposed to end then? 2012?
yeah,
2011.
when the Mayan calendar was supposed to stop?
Yeah.
I think there was. Anyway, so in August 2012, the first confirmed white shark attack in almost 80 years occurred around Cape Cod. And over the next several years, shark sightings increased along with public concern, and others were bitten. Then, in 2018, the inevitable happened. A boogie boarder was attacked and killed in Cape Cod's shallow waters. And that sparked off a whole bunch of everything. So this author is a shark researcher. He is a shark biologist, and he dove into, didn't need to do that.
Just right there. So easy.
So he started really looking into like what is going on here. Where's the populations? What's moving them in these different directions? Why are they going after people? All these different things. And then also like trying to tag, track, and demystify sharks and educate people. Because, it's kind of the thing with like the grizzly bears. There's a point where we've learned you shouldn't climb a tree with a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
And there's a point where we learn you shouldn't get in the water where there's a shark anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's their home.
It is their home. They win.
Yeah.
So there you go. So if you want more of a story in that regard, now if you've got just for funsies, some of our younger ones too. So there is Chomp. This is like, those kids. I think we all know a kid. Hey, sharks. We're talking about sharks. Hi, Itchy. Good to see you. So if we all know those kids who are like can say the proper Latin names of dinosaurs. This is your book. Anyway,
Yep.
They've got different kinds of sharks all across the board. Oh, we're going back. Oh yeah, so tiger sharks will eat anything.
That's the shark from Jaws. It's a tiger shark.
It's a tiger shark. Not that the movie ever says that it is, but it goes through like lemon sharks like to live in families in pods. And then there's like the cookie cutter shark. Didn't even know there was one. So it goes through like a bunch of different kinds of sharks. There's the lantern shark, which glows in the dark. So that one's just kind of like a perfect if you've got a kid who's like, my special interest is sharks. Or if you're like, my special interest is sharks.
Yes.
This one's fun, so why not? There is also If Sharks Disappeared. So this is going to go through what would happen if all the sharks just went away. And, because they can be scary. And it kind of goes, like there's a lot of different sharks. It very nicely and succinctly explains that, if sharks, what they do is they are the apex predators. So they will eat smaller predators that eat other things. So if the sharks go away, then we're going to have a lot of seals. And the seals are going to eat all the fish. And then slowly the fish are going to go away, so then slowly so are the seals. And then we're going to have a lot of plankton, and those things are going to make the oceans absolutely unlivable. And but hey, the ocean's not the only one that relies on sharks, but people rely on the ocean, and so do animals and things. So like the big questions. But the nice thing too is at the end is like, but good news, sharks exist. So yeah, so that's like a good like food chain and like the balance of everything.
Yes.
So them's the shark related ones, and now I think we're transitioning more towards the Jaws the movie related ones. Because we're talking all about Jaws, honestly.
Yes.
Shall we do the Martha Vineyard ones? Because there's not a lot.
Sure.
Okay, sure. So, do you have any fun facts about filming at Martha's Vineyard?
Jaws was the first movie to be filmed in Martha's Vineyard.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
It hadn't been used as a filming location before. So prior to 1975, the average yearly population of Martha's Vineyard is about 5,000 people, maybe slightly higher in the summer, slightly less in the winter. Post Jaws, about 15,000.
Jeez, okay.
I don't know what it is currently, but it experienced a huge boom after Jaws. The residents of Martha's Vineyard at first were like, ooh, this is kind of exciting, a movie. Eventually, when it was days, weeks, months over schedule, they're like, okay, can they please finish up?
Please leave.
Please leave.
We like our life.
Yes. But they did get paid to be extras in the movie, to just run along the beach and scream. Yeah.
I think we'll talk about this later, but there's a quote, I think, from Steven Spielberg where he's like, you're going to see a lot of smiles of them running and screaming because you can only do so much. You're like, oh, blood, gore, horrible things. And people are like, ha, 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 we're running.
But the reason why they chose Martha's Vineyard is because you can get so far out to sea, but the depth of the ocean doesn't dramatically increase.
All right, so like lots of shallow.
The shallows go out pretty far, so they were able to maybe more safely film. Obviously they still had some issues.
There were still some issues
with the shark,
which we will get to. Yeah, with Bruce the shark.
But yeah, it kind of put Martha's Vineyard on the map.
So a couple of books that we pulled from. This is a historical fiction. This is called Show Me a Sign. And this is written by a deaf author about the deaf community that lived in Martha's Vineyard. And Martha's Vineyard was very unique in its deaf community. They had, in 1854, the island's deaf population peaked, with an average of 1 in 155 people being deaf. And this story is set in 1804, specifically in a town called Chilmark, which had the highest concentration of deaf people. At their height, the 1 in 25 people were deaf. And because of all of that, there was a specifically unique version of sign language called Martha's Vineyard Sign Language that is now considered to be a dead language ever since 1952, when the last native speaker user used MLV or MVSL, died in 1952. Her name was Katie West. So this story follows a girl named Mary, and it's a very closely knit community. Everybody uses the sign language because it's so prevalent. It's absolutely not as much of a disability in the way, because it's just everyone uses it. It's accessible. It's just life. So she herself has a hearing mother and then a deaf father. Her family is mourning the death of her brother, and they're dealing with it in different ways. And while they're dealing with that family crisis, a researcher is very interested in finding out why there are so many people here who have deafness, or who are experiencing deafness and have that. He decides that there's some experiences and some experimentation that should happen, and pulls Mary into that because she is one of those who is like, everyone seems to be incredibly interested in this, but I find this to be rather dangerous and problematic, and I'm going to challenge you about it. And he kind of like, I think it's a bit retaliatory. Even so, she survives. We know that because at the very beginning, she's like, if you're reading this, I suppose you want to know more about the terrible events that happened last year, which I almost didn't survive, and the community where I live. That's literally the first line. So it kicks off real fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a really cool look into the history of Martha's Vineyard, as well as the community, and how everything kind of like came together. The language did kind of wither and die away with like more exposure to mainland and people like moving in to the mainland and whatnot, which is very sad. But that's how language works. So that one's really cool. I knew about Martha's Vineyard Sign Language before, but I think I'm going to read this one to learn a little bit more, which will be fun.
That's cool.
And then you picked this one. We have summer reading.
I feel like, I guess I should look into it to see if this is true or just in my head. But I feel like because Jaws was so big, that Martha's Vineyard has become like a setting for a lot of romances.
I think so.
Historical fiction, historical romances.
Well, if anything, because it's sort of like that perfect beachy place.
Yeah.
And that sort of like Martha's Vineyard, it's, you hear that, it's like, oh, Martha's Vineyard. It's like so.
Yeah. Even if you've never been, you kind of still have this image of it.
Yeah, it seems kind of magical.
Yeah.
So this is Samantha Gale. She is spending her summer at Martha's Vineyard, but she is also chaperoning her younger brother, who is a teenager who's doing a lot of work at the local library. But she's like, this sounds awful. I am dyslexic, and the library is not where I ever want to be, which is a shame because, hun, we got stuff for you. It's okay. Anyway, so she'll
learn that.
She will learn that. So, in the process of all of that, she, on the way there, kind of blunders into this guy who she accidentally dumped his book into the waves. And it was super awkward and awful. Turns out he is the interim library director. Shocker. And since she's spending a lot of time at the library, awkward. Because guaranteed that library is not big.
No.
Like, not at all.
Not if the director's also just randomly going to the beach.
Right, yeah. So the director
Small town.
moved here because he's looking for his father. His mom apparently had a summer fling, and he's like, who's my dad? So he's trying to figure that out. And in the process, they're kind of like meeting up, and I think it's a little bit of hating to dating to type of a thing.
Sure.
And irresistible attraction blossoms.
So he's doing a Mamma Mia.
Yes, he's doing a Mamma Mia.
Yes.
And she's, I don't know, she's doing what she's doing.
She's doing a Take My Brother to the Library.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's cute. It's a romance. You get what you get, type of a thing. So yeah,
Sweet and cute. And
sweet and
Martha's
cute.
Vineyard. No sharks.
And Martha's Vineyard. No sharks in that one. Now, we were doing this as an honor to Jaws, the movie, and its 50th anniversary. So we've got a bunch of books about movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So for starters, nice and simple, we have
Nice and simple.
this chonker of seriously, it's
Yeah, it's heavy.
it's so heavy.
These are like glossy, thick
They are.
pages.
It is a dense book. Like, all right. That did not drop far. That was less than an inch. And so this is 1001 movies you must see before you die. They are in chronological order, and right in the middle there, we have Jaws. Jaws! So, I mean, this is a book where you're not going to get a whole lot of information about it. but you're just going to get like little details on some things. Or like a little blurb and whatnot. So, and if you're like a movie person, you're just like, I want to like do a project. Here you go. Here's a great book to go for. But it also has a fun quote from Steven Spielberg where he says, "I was too young to know that I was being foolhardy when I demanded that we shoot the film in the Atlantic Ocean and not in a North Hollywood tank." Because, yeah. Now we mentioned Bruce the Shark.
Yes.
Which was the name that they called the shark animatronic.
Named after Spielberg's lawyer.
Yeah, which is great. And also, there's Bruce the Shark from Finding Nemo, which is named after this shark. Yes. So there's a lot of Bruce the Sharks.
Bruce the Shark gets 4 minutes of screen time, I believe.
But, an eternity in our hearts.
An eternity in our hearts. He was meant to have a much larger part, like on screen.
Yeah.
But because of all the malfunctioning, they were like, you know what? Maybe he just does a couple jump scares.
Yeah. They said that so he was tested and like works well in fresh water in a tank. But when they got him into salt water, it sank immediately.
It sank. They lost so much money
it was so bad.
making those sharks.
Yeah.
Just especially considering he's then only in it for 4 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But that turned out to be one of the best parts of the movie. Like, that's why the shark is so scary. Because you don't see it. Although I did learn, if you've not yet seen the movie and you're like, okay, I think I can do it, but maybe you're a little scared. If you hear the music...
Dun, dun.
That means the shark is there
dun,
or will show up.
Yeah.
There are a few red herrings.
Dun, dun.
Where the music does not play.
Oh, that's that, yeah.
So, like, it's a dolphin or it's just, it's something that maybe looks like a shark. The music doesn't play.
Oh, I like that. Now I need to watch it again. Just, like, pick out for that. That's really fun. So, I found Steven Spielberg, A Life in Film. So, this is only about Steven Spielberg. It's not... I don't think it's technically a biography. It's more of just like a study of him through his films. Cool. So this was... Apparently Steven Spielberg said, "Everything about me is in my films." So taking that as a key to understanding the hugely successful movie maker, there we go, Molly Haskell, who wrote this, explores the full range of Spielberg's works for the light they shine upon the man himself. So it's sort of like a character study of this director and writer through his work, which is kind of fun. So it's not very big. It's nice and tidy. But yeah, that would be a fun little romp, I think, of just like, what's your perspective on that? So like a analysis book,
Yeah.
Sounds
he also did, so for the 50th anniversary, they aired it on Friday, and before he had like a new introduction to the movie, which is now available on YouTube.
Nice.
So that's kind of fun to watch, to see like him as, at the end of his career, looking back at kind of the beginnings of it, and at a movie that he thought was going to end his career before it really even launched.
That was a massive risk for sure.
Yeah.
But
that's
just wild.
Why he's one of the greats, I guess.
A part of it, I think everybody who is like wildly successful these ways, they'll say that part of it is massive amounts of hard work and determination and luck. Like luck just has to pile through.
Yeah.
So it's just part of it. You gotta get lucky, but you gotta keep grinding too. Sort of on the grind. So this is Oscar Wars, of which Jaws won Oscars. So there was
music. Was it original score, sound editing?
Yeah, editing was one for sure. Like, and I don't remember if like script or whatnot, but this is the history of Hollywood in gold, sweat, and tears, the Oscar Wars. So this is by Michael Schulman. Yeah, there's a lot. He's written about like Meryl Streep and a bunch of other celebrities. So this is certainly about like Hollywood, specifically about the Oscars. But it goes sort of like year by year in general, and it talks about like what the major movements were every year, and like maybe what some of the controversies were, and like how different years were sort of like influenced by different cultural upheavals and stuff. And yeah, so like rather than cataloging every single Oscar night, each chapter takes a deep dive into a particular year, conflict, or category that tells a larger story of cultural upheaval from Louis B. Mayer to Moonlight. It examines how the red carpet runs through contested turf, and the victors aren't always as clear as the names drawn from the envelopes. Cool. And there are there's drama. This book is drama. Look how big it is.
The other Jaws Oscar fun fact is that John Williams, who won the Oscar that year for the music, was he was at work. He was like, composing the orchestra when they announced him, and he had to go accept the award and then come back and like finish.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So he was actively composing?
He was actively composing, and that obviously did not get played off, but...
Yeah. Oh, well. So the last book that I pulled out to talk about, and it's one that we're already like, ooh. So this is Hollywood, the Oral History. So if you've seen like those documentaries where they do like a bunch of interviews with, people and whoever, and
like
then...
I Love the 90s.
That's it. Thank you. That's exactly it. So like very similar to like I Love the 90s.
Yeah.
Where they get a bunch of people who were prevalent at that time, and then they interview them about their thoughts and experiences about a particular subject. And then the series, the story is told through excerpts of their interview. And it'll like bounce between everybody. This is that in written form. So this was gleaned from nearly 3,000 interviews found in the American Film Institute's archival treasure trove. Wild.
Who did two people put this together? That's a lot of work.
Janine Bassinger and Sam Wason. I'm sorry. You did so much work that you deserve to have your names read correctly, but I'm sure it didn't happen just now. So this is sort of like the listen into all of these people, and there's like the list of people is long.
Yeah,
like
speakers.
So many people. So it's still going. I'm not done yet. There's so many people that were interviewed and that they spliced together, and there's also all right, sorry, got distracted by works other by. So they've also written books on like Shirley Temple, Gene Kelly.
The It's a Wonderful Life book.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
How Hollywood spoke to women.
Yeah, about Fosse, Improv Nation. Anyway, these are cool.
I Do and I Don't, the history of marriage in the movies.
That's fun. So the different sections are like different. So like the beginning of Hollywood. So they'll have a bunch of different celebrities that were around for the beginning of Hollywood, and they went through those interviews and they spliced those things together. There's also like topics about sound or silent directors, silent actors, about sound, studios, and like the different factions of like the workforce, from like cameramen to editors and stuff, and then boiling all the way down to different topics. So in there it goes like there's the topic of music, and then the story begins with all of these quotes from different people. Harry Warren, Alex North, I don't know who those people are. Anyway, moving on with my life. So that at the end, it goes into the creep up. So this is when it's like newer Hollywood, and this is where we start getting to talk about Jaws.
Yes.
And Jaws itself is a huge topic in its own like part of this piece of Hollywood history. And so you've got like Steven Spielberg, Richard Zanuck, Sue Mengers, Verna Fields. George Lucas comes in this a lot. Yeah. Though I do find it funny that George Lucas's contribution to this conversation is, I thought it might be interesting. Anyway.
Thanks, guy.
Yeah, neat, buddy. So it's kind of cool, and they talk about their thoughts and their feelings and like their remembrance of those times. And he says that Steven Spielberg said that because I was reading through this a little bit, he said that they wanted him to do a different movie, and he was like, I don't want to do that. And they're like, okay, what do you want to do instead? And there was a galley, so it's an unpublished manuscript of Jaws. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even published for people to read. He read that and he's like, I want to do that one. And also, I want to start it from scratch. And I get say on everything. And they're just like, okay. All right, sure, fine.
Trust you.
And he did. There's a quote in here of like, Frank Yablans, I don't even know. He's like, I bring the property in, and Alan Ladd Jr. says, gee, Frank, I don't know, a picture about a shark? You can't make any money. So they made no money anyway.
Yeah.
But it's fun. There's also John Williams is in this section too when they start talking about the music of Jaws. He said that, well, I got this idea of doing this kind of thump thing. And Steven Spielberg says, John calls me in having seen the cut, and goes, oh, darling boy, no. We're not doing this other song that you want. I got this other music I want to do. And he just starts playing this thump. And Steven Spielberg is like, that's funny. Okay. No, but really, what is it? He was like, dun, 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 dun. So this part's the best. So Steven Spielberg, he's like, and I waited, and I tried to smile because, of course, John had a great sense of humor. And then he added a little bit, and then he goes, dun, 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 and waited. And I started to get nervous in my heart. And then he goes, dun, 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 dun. And from then on, my heart's beating really fast, and I'm all flop sweat. Like, he's just like, so
that's it.
That's it. That's your thing. And I mean, it's like, it's stuck with us forever.
Yeah.
So this one's really fun. We also found out that it is in an audiobook, and it's on Hoopla if you want to check that one out, which means that everyone can check it out at the same time, which is good because we're going to book club. I will say the criticism that I did find is that it's a little bit confusing to like know where the conversation is going, what topic are we talking about. I don't think that's a criticism of the audiobook. That's flipping through this. I think it's a criticism of this book, but I think it's really cool.
Conversation.
Yeah, it's one massive conversation that just flows in its own way.
Yeah.
So yeah, go watch Jaws, I guess.
Jaws.
That's basically what we decided to do today.
Jaws does have a PG rating.
It does.
Which
is wild.
Started as an R, but they took out some of the more gruesome shots, like an arm.
Oh, that's fair.
On the PG.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Another reason why it was able to be a blockbuster because
available.
Anyone can see it. Truth
to that.
Yeah.
Any other fun facts that we need to know about?
There's so many fun facts. These facts are all so fun. When they first showed it to like test audiences, one of the first jump scares, people scream and laugh a little bit, and the audience gets very loud. So the iconic line, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," was not heard in these because they were all people were still flustered. So they added in some extra time in between jump scare and the line.
That's good. That's good.
Let the audience compose themselves again.
That's why we have test runs. You gotta test that out and see how that goes. Yeah, you were saying that line was improvised.
Yeah.
Which that's a great line.
And
it's a good line.
Yeah, obviously everyone on set thought it was great, so we gotta keep that in.
Solid choice. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's such a fun one. Now, obviously it is very much not the only shark movie. You like your shark movies.
I love shark movies. When you were talking the book with the sharks in the river, made me think of
what was it?
Under Paris?
That was it, I think.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that too. Under Paris.
It's a French movie.
It's so bad.
It's so good.
It's so bad.
But yeah, sharks get into the Seine and interrupt the Olympics.
There's also There's also like bombs in the river too, or something.
Well, that's real.
Oh, that is true.
They have
That is
found
true.
old bombs from World War II in a lot of places.
It's wild. There's also like all the Sharknadoes, and then
Sharknadoes are great.
Yeah,
Meg.
Oh yeah,
Meg
those.
2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If there's a big shark in your movie,
Rachel's in.
I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I love the ocean. It's terrifying.
That is true. Yeah. It's really funny. Rachel loves the ocean. I love space. And they're the same thing, just in opposite directions.
They are the same thing.
So yeah.
They can both kill you.
They sure can.
They're
We
both
know
very dark and very cold.
we know very little. We know a lot, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for joining us with us talking about sharks in movies and all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, I think tonight's a watching of Jaws tonight. We'll see how it goes. All right, well everyone, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great week, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.